Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Hi.
Hi.
All these yours?
No, I'm a dog walker.
Well, can I help you?
Oh, sure,
Look,
Cliff.
come on, let's go, kid.
Come on. Come on, everybody.
Here we go. They all have a mind of their own, don't they?
They sure do.
Yeah, she's pretty tough, isn't she? When do you get your breakfast?
Whenever I can. I go to somewhere where I can have breakfast all day.
Bet you'd like IHOP's new French Connection, our delicious golden French toast with crispy bacon, sausage, ham, eggs, and hash browns, all for $3.99.
You ever walked any other kind of animals?
Iguana.
What do they eat?
Omelette.
And so, this social media stuff of ours, it's growing, man. And the post that I made about 2 weeks ago regarding the Just Say No episode we covered with Johnny Dakota, a lot of people want to know who is Eddie Garcia. Eddie Garcia is the guy who played Johnny Dakota. And it's like, Google is your best friend, man. I don't know. Like,
you can find this out in 2 seconds.
Yeah, like I really feel like this era that we're in, it makes people lazy. Like,
oh yeah,
if you're that curious, like you could always go to Wikipedia or Google. Eddie Garcia, he was actually a backup dancer for Michael Jackson at one point, as well as Janet Jackson, and he was in a short-lived sitcom on NBC Saturday morning lineup called Guys Next Door. So, and he dated Tiffany. Yeah, Eddie Garcia, and he dated Tiffany Amber Thiessen in real life, man. But
nice.
Who didn't back then?
We see through the veil now, Tiffany. Mm-hmm. But Eddie Garcia, I mean, he did look like a backup dancer. Now that I think of it, Steve, and I like that. I like that for him. I don't know how it went with Michael, but the fact he thrown over to Janet's side, love that for the guy.
And watching the episode, Matt, he really wasn't a bad guy. He kind of like hanging out with teenagers and like inviting them to your house. That's kind of sus. But the dude just wanted to smoke a little pot.
That's all it is, Steve. A couple of decades later, we're sitting here thinking to ourselves, this guy just is a fun time. Little weed, that's it. You're lucky they didn't have fucking blowout on the table at this goddamn party. This is coming right off the 80s, Steve. They could have had anything going on. A little weed? Let's chill, guys. Johnny Dakota is here to help the kids.
And the hypocrisy, man, because as a Saturday night, Saved by the Bell alumnus or fanboy or whatever you want to say, those motherfuckers, like, we're doing drunk driving. They threw parties when the parents were away. So it's like, that's pretty, like, if you want to play the altruistic role, hey, that wasn't right and that wasn't right.
Yeah, and you can't tell me the president of NBC, who was out there with his ass out at the end of that episode, wasn't into some shit way worse than weed. What was his name? Tarkanian? I don't know, whatever evil shit. A little weed.
Brandon Tartikoff. Put some respect. Put some respect on Tart's name, man.
Well, Brandon Tartikoff, I'm just saying, a little weed never hurt nobody, And here we are in 2023, and we know that. And I think he could admit that.
By the way, your Brandon Tartikoff was hilarious in that episode. I can't even do.
I'm Brandon Tartikoff. Listen here, kids. I'm a billionaire. I'm here to tell you, no weed. All the amphetamines you want, no weed.
Yeah. Take speed pills, caffeine pills, just to cram for your test. But weed?
Jesse, come sit over here on my lap. Let me tell you a story real quick. Old Brandon was hanging out with Betty White back in the day. Little jazz cigarette came my way. 3 days later, I'm naked on the streets.
Lo and behold, Bill Cosby pops up.
I thought it was the jazz cigarette. Turns out it was the kamikaze Bill Cosby gave me. It was for Betty. It was a whole thing. But anywho.
I woke up, my asshole was hurting, and he's hovering over me saying, "Whoa, whoa, you should give me a sitcom. Look at my sweater."
They call that a Chicago Tuesday where I'm from. Anyway, Bill got a deal. I got herpes. It was a whole thing.
Hi, I'm Jim Palmer. We all know credit card debt can pile up fast with interest rates as high as 18, even 20%. That's why the Money Store created the Credit Card Consolidator. Using the equity in your home, it lets you replace all those high interest bills with a single low monthly payment. One you can easily afford, and it may even be tax deductible. To find out more, call the Money Store at 1-800-LOAN-YES. The Money Store, where America goes for money.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, the show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Coolio and your Deuce Bigelow male gigolo, because this ain't the Hardy Boys over Nancy Drew mystery. It's just Keenan and Kel in your vicinity, like Siegfried and Roy, Abbott and Costello, Magic and Karimo, Penn and Teller. Somebody's in trouble. Oh, here it go. Oh, Nick.
Steve, that got
And Matt
me.
is hurt.
That
Matt is hurting.
So bad. That got me so bad. Oh. How you doing, Steve? It's been a while.
Yeah, man. It's been a couple weeks.
I know. I did just decompress. I had to go to Philly. I had to just globetrot a little bit just to get over my sadness that you're not here anymore.
Yeah, and I had to go to the chiropractor. Man, 7 days on that air mattress. It did a number.
Sorry about that.
Well, no, you know what? After the first day, I was okay. And then I think my laziness contributed to it because I went to bed later than y'all, and like that inflator is loud. And I was like, man, I don't want to have this. This thing is loud. I would start to inflate it, and knowing that it wasn't fully inflated, like I didn't want to wake y'all up or whatever. So I'll be like, I just bear with it. But
don't break your back, Steve. The next time, inflate away, bud. Inflate away.
But I did need to go to the chiropractor because I'm 40, and those motherfuckers do numbers. They're miraculous, man. Like they put you in that machine and you hear and feel those cracks.
There's a machine involved?
Oh yeah, they sit you like face down, like it's like a weight bench. Then they sit you face down and they push on whatever the like tightness is, and then like they have you take a deep breath, and then when you release, they push down. It's like I don't know, like they could reposition the chair as you're laying face down, like they pop it.
Damn.
Like,
okay.
Oh,
I've never gone to one. I realize, but maybe I need to. Shit, I'm getting old too. I'm achy.
Yeah, man. I ended up getting like a membership, and you get 2 trips every week. Yeah.
Damn. Some old men talk. Brought to you by, what's the name of your chiropractor, Steve? Dr. Back Guy.
Brought to you by Joint Chiropractic and Ben Gay. Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things December 14th in the 90s. Oh, here we go. Starting off in 1990, Edward Scissorhands premieres. The solitary life of an artificial man who was incompletely constructed and has scissors for hands is upended when he is taken in by a suburban family. Directed by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder, Diane West, Anthony Michael Hall, Kathy Baker, Vincent Price, and Alan Arkin.
This is the most Tim Burton movie I can think of. He just made Beetlejuice. He made damn Batman. This was it. And Steve, I never liked this movie. It scared me as a kid, you know?
Say you're a terrorist without saying you're a terrorist.
I'm sorry.
I mean, even despite the fact you said this is the most Tim Burton, so you don't like Tim Burton?
I like Tim Burton, but I got into him from his mainstream shit. That shit I said before this came out, like the Beetlejuice, the Batman. It's just a little too, it's just weird. And, you know, I watched it subsequently And I do appreciate the style, all the cool people that are in it. It's just like, I don't know. I can't explain why I didn't like it as a kid, because it does meet a lot of the criteria. It's a bullied kid, basically. He doesn't fit in. He's a loner. He does eventually get embraced by the town, but then it's like sort of like a Frankenstein's monster teen movie mashup.
And you can't go wrong with Vincent Price. Word is on you get it. And I think that this was the first time. Actually, I know this is the first time Tim Burton and Johnny Depp linked up. Man, I feel like he found his muse doing this movie, because Tim Burton would keep that man employed for decades.
And well, Winona Ryder too, right? I mean,
Winona
she did a
Ryder.
bunch of stuff with him, and yeah, this is the magical combination. He did find his muse in this guy, and I don't know what it is, man. It's this weird. I don't know, but I did watch like the last half of it last night, and it is entertaining. But for whatever reason, as a kid, it really did freak me out. The scars and all that shit, just strange.
And you can't go wrong with Danny Elfman, man. Like,
Yeah.
this was some of his best work. When Danny Elfman and Tim Burton link up, man, it's always going to be a classic. But he actually picked Johnny Depp out from watching 21 Jump Street.
I love
And
that.
lo and behold, yeah, man. This was a good career decision for Johnny Depp. And I think Anthony Michael Hall, because Anthony Michael Hall was known as the little twerp from the John Hughes movies. He was always like the nerd, the geek that always got picked on. And this was a change of pace. He was convincing as the town bully, as the thug, the meathead in this movie. It was convincing, man. It was a change of pace for him and Johnny Depp, who was known as being the heartthrob, the guy who got shredded up in Nightmare on Elm Street, and now he's this weird like Scissorhand guy.
I mean, you're right about especially Johnny Depp, but he could have been like typecast as just that, which I mean, he still kind of did. He was a handsome dude, and people wanted him to be handsome man and everything. But they uglied him up. He's weird as fuck. I mean, he doesn't barely talk in the movie either. He does a little bit, but I mean, it's just it's a swerve left from what he was doing. And it did lead him into a different area of acting where he might have just been like the romantic interest in some movie or some shit like that, Especially coming off 21 Jump Street, where it's just like teen heartthrob city.
Yeah. And fun fact about this movie, Nick Carter has a cameo in this from Backstreet Boys fame. Yeah. There's a little blonde boy on the slip and slide at the beginning of the film, and that is Nick Carter.
Well, I'll tell you,
miss it.
That's great. I'm gonna have to tell Kendra that. She'll love that. She probably knows that. But I will tell you one thing I do vividly remember is that at the end of this, like Michael C. Hall like attacks Edward Scissorhands like in his house or whatever, and like beats the living shit out of this dude. Yeah. And Edward Scissorhands can take a punch, and he doesn't he push him out a window. He stabs him and like pushes him out a window or some shit. I forget.
I can't remember, man. But
he gets his.
Yeah, and you want the bully to get his comeuppance, man.
It's kind of weird though. Like you said, he was a nerd in like all those movies, and then they did turn him into the straight up antithesis of that. He was a fucking asshole bully in this, and he wasn't like yoked, but he was like kind of a beefy dude in it.
Yeah, he definitely took some protein shakes to prepare for this, man, because that wasn't the same Anthony Michael Hall from Breakfast Club for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And this is, I mean, like when I say I didn't like this movie, it was because when I was a kid, it just like freaked me the fuck out. Really did. So I've seen it, appreciate it. Tim Burton, though, if I got to pick, I'm going Beetlejuice, Batman 1 and 2.
I ain't mad at it, but you know what's scarier than Edward Scissorhands to me in this movie?
What's that, Steve?
Those Suburban Moms. But also in 1990, Look Who's Talking premieres. And it is dumb as fuck. We're not even going to go through the premise. It's directed by Amy Heckerling, starring John Travolta, Kirstie Alley, Bruce Willis, Roseanne Barr, Damon Wayans, Olympia Dukakis, and Elias Koteas. Now, the casting, that's great. You would think this is going to be a hit, but the premise itself was already fizzled up and dry in 1990, in my opinion. You did it once, it's a surprise hit, and it's like, okay, you got away with murder that time. And then you want to bring the shit back. And then they brought it back again in 93 with Look Who's Talking Now. And it's like, now the dogs are talking too. Like, sit the fuck down, Look Who's Talking series. Sit all the way the fuck down.
Yeah. I mean, the only redeemable thing about Look Who's Talking To is this is the one where maybe they did it in the first one too, but it opens with like an anatomically correct scene of sperm going to an egg in like a 3D computer graphics thing. And I just have to say that I watched that to just prepare for this episode, just to remind myself what was going on in this movie. And the nightmare of the sperm having John Travolta's voice, the egg having Kirstie Alley's voice, and then those two things combining in a really bizarrely sexual way on screen to form Roseanne's voice, terrifying.
Oh my
God, I gotta get in there. Oh my God.
I'm a zygote.
It's weird, dude. It is weird.
And dumb as fuck. But also in 1990, Mermaids premieres. An unconventional single mother relocates with her two daughters to a small Massachusetts town in 1963, where a number of events and relationships both challenge and strengthen their familial bonds. Directed by Richard Benjamin, starring Cher, Bob Hoskins, Winona Ryder, Michael Scheffling, and Christina Ricci.
I mean, Winona Ryder getting paid on this day.
Clearly.
In general, in the 90s. And I love Winona Ryder. I can look past these shoplifting. We've all been there. But this movie, Steve, first I thought it was Splash, the mermaid movie with Tom Hanks. It was not.
Yeah.
But even getting over the disappointment of there not actually being physical mermaids in this, I love to see a movie where a beautiful Cher is romantically interested in Bob Hoskins. And I love that for him.
Yeah.
I never saw this. This is a movie that my mom definitely probably watched. But again, I've told you the bullet points for me. What about you, Steve? What do you remember about mermaids?
It's worth watching once, man. This is Christina Ricci's film debut, and I fucks with some Christina Ricci's. This was only a year before she did Addams Family, I believe. And you can't go wrong with Winona Ryder. Cher is always Cher, and
she's like, party Cher in this. She's like a party mom, like she's kind of like on the same level as Winona Ryder in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of butting heads.
And it shows the naivete of the youth back then, man, because it's set in the 1960s, and Winona Ryder's character, she has the hots for this guy, this local hunk, and they kiss, and she goes to the gynecologist not like long after, and thought she was pregnant, and the doctor says, like, I don't think this is how this works. You have never had intercourse, so you're not pregnant. But
have you been to school? Do you understand what sexual intercourse is? Yeah. But again, Bob Hoskins gets what sexual intercourse is, and he's plowing fucking Cher in this. So
and he's married. Cher was his side piece.
Yeah, Steve. Because Bob Hoskins gets downs like that.
And this was the 60s too. I feel like women kind of had to like lower their standards. I think they had lower standards back then. I don't know. He has a job.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got a job. So yeah. So
I mean, this was a Bob Hoskins, like even a pre-Roger Rabbit, where I mean, he looks less like a bulldog than he used to. Like, he became like that English bulldog type dude. Speaking of we were talking about this, guys who are American, who you think are American and turn out to be very British. Bob Hoskins is also one of those people. Rest in peace.
Man, he got that cheeks like snuggled up on their bosom, man. Pause. That didn't even sound right.
That's okay though, because I got confused too. But I love, I'm gonna have to go back rewatched the whole thing. I watched a couple of trailers, watched a couple of scenes. But Party Share, Bob Hoskins, and two love interests of us in the '90s, Christina Ricci and Winona Ryder. I was crushing hard on both those chicks when I was a kid. So
Well, Christina, she's so adorable with those cute little
Casper's a
eyes.
couple of years she's gonna be in Casper too, Steve.
Casper, man. She ran in the 90s. But in 1991, December 14th, the 57th Heisman Trophy Award goes to Desmond Howard, the wide receiver of Michigan. Traitor!
Yeah, dude. I was gonna ask you about that. Cleveland's finest. He decided to go up north. Doesn't that suck really hard for in this rivalry? Because I was never really part
It's
of this, but like when you know they're from Ohio, it's like, how could you do this, man?
how dare you? Yeah, like it also gives me ammunition when I'm talking to Wolverine fans. Like, yeah, your last two fucking Heismans came from Ohio. You're welcome.
You do get that. I do like that.
That's a
Um,
nice flex.
but I'm no Wolverine lover myself. I'm claiming Buckeyes right now, and we've gone through this, but
You
Desmond
got the hat.
Howard, he was a badass special teams. I mean, he was a wide receiver, but I think primarily we all know him for his like returns and his special teams, if I'm not mistaken.
He got a Super Bowl MVP doing that with the
Yeah,
Green Bay Packers, another team I hate.
yeah. He played for what Washington, the Packers. He was on the Detroit Lions, if not mistaken, like at the end of his career. Um, but dude could definitely. He was like that Dante Hall type guy before that guy exists. He could return the fuck out of some balls. Pause.
Dante Hall, Devin Hester, like, yeah, he was a specialist for sure. But somebody who probably wasn't privy to this in 1991, you want to know who, Matt? You want to know who, Matt? You want to know who?
Ooh,
Probably American rapper Offset, Mr. Cardi B, my favorite of the Migos gang.
more of a Quavo guy myself. But
I used to be.
Offset. I'm not going to speak educated on Migos. I know one of them is now rest in peace.
Take off.
Take
R.I.P.
off. But yeah, man. Future, Offset, whatever. It's all. I don't know too much, but I do know that this guy has one song in my playlist that Pharrell's on, and that's all I know, Steve.
Oh, if you knew more, there would be more songs on that playlist, man. But in 1992, Lennox Lewis is given the WBC title when Riddick Bowe refused to fight him.
And I tried to look into this a little bit, and I didn't get the full background. I did see this where he throws the belt in the trash.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't want to fight Lennox Lewis either. That would
Well,
be a nightmare, but I don't think that's exactly why he ducked the fight.
it wasn't out of fear, or that's the story he's selling. It wasn't out of fear, but it was initially a mini tournament. There was Bowe and Holyfield, and Lewis and Razor Ruddock, and the two winners would meet each other for the undisputed world heavyweight championship. And Bowe's manager, he made a proposal that the $32 million purse HBO was offering would be split 90-10 in Bowe's favor. And Lennox, his side, rejected that. And so the next proposition was to have them on an undercard. Lewis would fight in a Riddick Bowe undercard. And at that point, Lennox Lewis just didn't trust his camp. And he was like, you know what? We're not doing that either. And out of protest, that is why Riddick Bowe threw the belt away, because the WBC and the president, Jose Suleiman, he didn't trust their actions. So there was a lot of distrust on both sides.
This is a match that you can definitely tell. Like if you look into it, this would have been a legendary fucking match.
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis just pieced up Razor Ruddock, so he did beat the shit out of him. I'm pretty sure he probably would have pieced up Riddick Bowe, but I don't know.
No, there's no
tell.
probably, bro. You saw what he did to Mike. You saw what he did to Holyfield. But Riddick Bowe, he was no slouch.
I was gonna say, dude, in this version of Riddick Bowe,
Yeah.
anybody can lose on any night, but yeah, man, it's one of those things where that happens a lot, I think, in fighting in general, where you want to see like two guys go, and it just you never get that opportunity.
But in 1996, Keenan and Kel is airing season 1, episode 11, Merry Christmas, Keenan. Keenan has been saving up all year to buy a Christmas present for himself. To get the last few dollars he needs, he accepts a job as a department store Santa. Oh, here we go.
Always scheming. I mean, I gotta say though, Keenan in this episode. First, let's get to the opening where they just get on stage and they introduce the show, and Keenan's just not feeling Christmas, Steve. It's just not the vibe yet, you know.
Yeah.
Kel's like, you know what? I can help with that because we're on TV. So I love that.
Out comes the snow, even though it's manufactured snow, and then he claps again and he sends out a 1-horse open sleigh, but it's not pulled by a horse. It's actually pulled from someone from production.
It's TV money, Steve. They got humans pulling shit, but that's
it's only
it.
Season 1.
We're going in and we cut to the store or to into the store, and right off the bat I got no.
No, we're at the Rockmore's house.
You're right.
My bad. Yeah, they're decorating for Christmas, and of course, Kel wants to decorate the tree with orange soda cans. Only Kel.
Me too, though. It's delicious. And this is where we find out Keenan's scheming on to get this bike. And Kel's like, dude, you're spending all this money on this bike for yourself. How are you gonna buy stuff for your friend or your family and your friend? And me too. There's not going to be anything left over, but Keenan's like in on this mountain bike. And I remember this time, it's probably before 10, but when mountain bikes were becoming a thing, trying to that was the next level. That was the car for a preteen, Steve. That was freedom. Oh, man.
Especially if it was name brand, it had nice color design and it had all the bells and whistles and shit. Oh man, that's a nice flex, man. Oh man, I got a 7-speed. You got a 6-speed? I got a 7-speed.
12, bitch. Bruh. 12. I'm at 12 speeds. You don't even know.
Yeah, with your
only
whole
using
ass
2 of them shits, but I got options. And also in this, what's the dad's name?
Roger.
Roger always has to put the thing on the top of the tree, but in this case, Kel interferes, nearly kills the old man, and then gets chased out of the house for an ass whooping that we don't get to see. But Ken Faree trying to whoop your ass, I'd be fucking scared shitless.
This is another little thing that's been done in sitcoms that only my nerdy ass would love. Like when they do the slow chase, yeah, they're like half run. That's just always funny to me. It's just like the fake person dying. So Kel runs past Roger and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," and he runs. It's like you could have caught him. Yeah, you really could have caught him. But for the sake of this show, I love it.
Stage acting, you can't do it.
Awesome.
So Kel gets his ass whooped, but then now we're at the store. Keenan's at work. Chris is nowhere to be found. Keenan is being, pretty just mean to this old white bitch. Is just trying to sing some Christmas carols, dude.
Mrs. Quagmire, she's geeked up about Xmas, and she wants somebody in this world, this community, to feel those vibes. You gonna get this spirit in you, motherfucker. You the only person I'm talking to right now. So you want to hear me sing a song? I can carol. No, I can hear that shit. Shit, I'm about to sing anyway. God damn it. She sings the 12 days of Christmas, and Keenan's just like, what?
She gets through 6, and then he's like, 5 this, 4 that. Bitch, get out of here.
Yeah, skedaddle. Beat it, tits.
And Chris, the store owner, comes in with Satan's Santa Christmas. I don't know what this thing is, Steve, or what evil created this machine, but it's not. I don't like this. I don't like it.
Yeah, he got it from his friend, the friend who likes feet. He got it from his basement. It's a mechanical Santa, and it's definitely cringe fuel. Oh, oh.
It's got bodies on it, Steve. There's blood on it. It doesn't move right. Keenan's like, I gotta get out of here. I can't help you with this fucking crazy. I can't have that Satan shit on me. So he looks for Kel. Kel's jingling some bells with what's her face out back doing Christmas carols, finishing that song, Steve.
I told you, somebody gonna get the spirit of Xmas, and cut back to Chris, and he's already getting sodomized by the mechanical Santa after he just plugged it up, man.
Help me! Help me!
Very Five Nights at Freddy's, man. And they go to the bike store and they see this green mountain bike, and it's epic, I will say.
You know what else is epic is the sassy store owner that's helping Keenan out. Talk about a banana seat. Whoa. It's gonna cost you some money, pal. So yeah, this bike's, I mean, I love it, Steve. It's a 12, so I don't even know what speed it is, but it's got all the gears. It's got the nice little, I don't know what brand it is. It might not be a Huffy, but it looks nice.
And Keenan, he wants to take it home now, but he doesn't have the funds. And he's like, man, can you hold it? And the sassy store owner or the manager, he's like, no, we can't do that, but you can make a down payment. So he gives him $100. It's like, all right, so keep my bike intact because I'm coming back.
I'll be back in a moochie with your little layover slip, you little broke people.
A moochie?
So he's got a bike on layaway now, but he has to show up by end of business on Christmas Eve, if I'm not mistaken, to secure the bike, or he's, I guess, lost the down payment too. I mean, I don't know. This store owner's shrewd, Steve.
There's no telling what he's doing with that hundo already. But they go to the toy section, and Kel sees his tuba phone. It's a tuba and a phone.
I gotta say though, a blue tuba looks pretty fucking sick. It looks like one of like that Star Wars band in the cantina. Looks like they'd be playing that.
Performing for Boba Fett.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So you knew what I was talking about. I thought I went too nerdy with it, but you got it. I like that.
Did I get that reference right? Did Boba Fett? No.
He was there. I believe in Jabba's palace, Steve. I don't want to just nerd myself out here too much, but in this toy store, not only do they got a tuba phone, they got Santa. And Santa's, he's very nice, but the kid that he is talking to is like this little half Klingon kid who's he looks evil. He's got a brow that's like permanently furrowed in just like anger. And I don't remember what he asked for. Maybe it was a fighter jet. Was it a fighter jet?
He wanted an Air Force fighter jet, and his name is Sam. And I don't like Sam's acting. He's like, let's just get down to business. I want an airplane,
dude. He's a little American Psycho to the point, Steve, where Santa's like, fighter jets, that's kind of crazy, kid. Like, and the kid just is like, you know what? Crack.
Yeah, he goes Joe Pesci because Santa's laughing it off like, you're a little boy. That's a grown man thing. Well, you think I'm funny over here? Huh? You think you laughing? What did I say? Something funny? All right, you think I'm a joke? I'm a clown? All right, wow. Right in the kisser.
And the heartless nature of everyone else seeing this, they don't focus on the kid who just knocked an old man out unconscious. They're like, look, my kid wants to see Santa. There's hundreds of angry moms and kids over here. Get me Santa Claus. So the store clerk's like, oh shit, Santa's dead, Steve. He's got contusions on his brain. He's gone.
And so the store owner or the manager, he proposes, hey, Kel, 2 black kids. I need a Santa. I'll pay you $100. And $100 to a teenager in 1996?
Shit. I would have done this too. Fuck yeah. But Kel, what does he get? Because I'd be more, because Keenan's like, I got to pay for that bike. Coincidentally, that's about as much as I need. So yes, and yes. Kel's just down for the cause. He's his elf, which I love that. This kid's he's the A1, Steve.
He's a writer. And the first kid that sits on his lap is a kid who wants a tuba phone.
And I gotta say, for kid number one, because this is like a new job, Steve. We're always nervous when you do your first whatever at a new job. He handles this magically. Gives him a ho ho ho. I'm gonna do my best with the tuba phone. Send him on the way. We've all seen it 1,000 times. And right after that happens, so salute to Keenan. He's doing great. We could do a quick cut back to the store where we see Chris still in it with the satanic Santa robot. At this point, getting like a crippler crossface maneuver. But this thing he's out for blood, Steve, which I don't like that.
It's turning into rape bot. Take ass, rape ass.
Yeah.
Like, and then now back at the toy store, Keenan, the next person that sits on his lap is a girl from Pishlakia named Chichka. And he knows all the Uben Schlugen, Dieven Rugen. Like that's a hidden talent of his, apparently, man. Do you know Pishlakian?
I bet the other guy didn't, because that's what I love. The mom's like, she doesn't know anything. She only speaks Pishlaki. And he's like, oh, I know that shit. Schlieben de Dartbugen, Schlieben Schlie. And they're having a nice little convo. So this management guy at the mall, you knocked it out of the park picking this kid. He speaks Swedish Chef from the Muppets. It's fucking fantastic.
Slinging poon. I caught that. They did say that at one point, slinging poon. And that's what pimps do. Now, Keenan, the next kid that he talks to is Daniel. And Daniel, he's a good big brother because he's got his sister with him. He's like, don't worry about me. I'm concerned about my little sister needing a bike. Her bike got stolen, and it would mean the world to me because it means the world to her. She wants a bike.
He looks like a little Zach Morris.
Yeah.
And he's like, my mom, she just can't afford it. Times are tough. And this is a teenager hearing this, Steve. Heartbreaking. But he's like, he says something nice. And then the mom comes up after the word, sends her on her way. He's like, Santa will do his best, yada, yada. And the mom comes up, is like, thank you so much. And he's like, well, you're going to get her the bike because I said you were going to get her the bike. And she's like, well, I can. I don't have any money. And
don't you see what I'm wearing? Yeah, Mary Poppins' mom, she can't afford that shit. I mean, look at she looks like the pigeon lady in Home Alone 2.
And she's just like, well, I'll lie to her. I'll figure a way to explain this. And this is being laid on a kid who is not, he's a teenager, I guess, whatever Keenan's age is. But I mean, goddamn, that's heavy.
And now we're back at the store and Chris gives Keenan his check. And it's enough for his bike now, on top of the $100, on top of all the allowances he's collected and the paychecks he saved. Yes, finally, that mountain bike is mine. And he immediately goes to the bike store. And as he's giving the sassy manager the money for the bike, he notices the delight in this little girl's face. This little girl with her father, she's getting a new bike, and it resonates with him from what he just heard from Daniel sitting on his lap. And, he has one of those It's a Wonderful Life moments.
He just gets caught in a trance with the money in hand, and the sassy clerk's like, excuse me, is this deal done? Like, what's going on here? But we don't exactly see what happens, Steve. We know Keenan's in the fields right now. But he did it, he made that money, Steve. That's a tough one. As for a young kid, I'd be like, you know what? Fuck those kids. I got to get this bike because those mountains are not going to bike themselves, and I need those 12 gears.
Those wheelies ain't gonna pop themselves. And after saving for a year, despite all of that, the next scene, we're at Daniel's house. How does Keenan know where this boy lives? That, I guess, we missed that part. But he gets caught by the mom. She sees the same Santa that she just saw in her house, and she's ready to crack him with a nutcracker. And now Daniel,
else, motherfucker. I'm Santa. Ho ho ho.
Yeah. And Daniel and Katie, who's mute at this point, like she never, like I guess only bikes make her talk. Now they see Keenan, and he's got gifts for him, and one of them is a portable CD player for Daniel, and Katie got a stuffed dog. Still not saying shit, but now as Keenan is headed to the door, he brings out the bike, and now Katie, now she want to talk.
Yay!
She loves it.
I love you. She's never even talked before. This is crazy. Oh, and also he gives motherfucking Daniel a bike too. I mean, this is a great Christmas if that's just all the presents you get. He nailed it. This kid's a good kid. I mean, he ain't ripping off fucking Sinbad for the money on his car note, Steve, and the damage or whatever. He's giving kids gifts on Christmas.
I want to thank Miss Quagmire. He has Miss Quagmire. I think she facilitated that spirit within him.
Fa la 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 la. She's just in his ear constantly, like, what the fuck?
Is you here?
But you know, again, I would like to question before we get away from the scene: how did he get the address? How did he get the balls to do the break-in? Because he has to break into the house, Steve. This is a B&E where he's giving gifts. So, you know, there's some questionable legalities here, but in the end, the thoughts what counts, you know?
And this is Chicago, but I don't know. Maybe this is the Winslow side of Chicago.
Yeah.
But now they're back at the Rockmores, and it's a tradition. And I don't know if you had this. It seems pretty common where the kid gets to open one on Christmas Eve, and you know, Kel, he got his buddy some battery-powered underpants, which weird. I would never get my friend some underdraws. And Keenan, being in the spirit, he got his buddy the tuba phone, the tuba and the phone.
I mean, this kid's giving. How much money did you save, son? Damn. A portable CD player in the early 90s, Steve. I'm telling you, that's a big ticket item in and of itself. But anyway, this he is Santa Claus, apparently. Keenan's sister, you know, she has a gift that she wants, but it isn't wrapped in wrapping paper. It's Kel. She just wants Kel.
Yeah, Kyra has it for Kel, man. Like that, and that's one of the recurring things throughout this series. The little sister likes her older brother's friend, and Roger said, "I hope you kept the receipt."
Chris, Keenan's boss, is there for some reason. This guy needs to get some friends, but he gets some leftover mashed potatoes. So, you know, that's pretty dope.
And we also see his arm in a cast, in a sling. Like that mechanical Santa did some damage, man.
And he was walking weird. So like you said, I think Chris took a couple back shots.
Sodomy, you'll never be the same.
And after they shoo Chris out, Keenan's mom is like, you know, Kel actually told us what you did. He's like, I didn't do anything. He's lying. That was his.
Who saw me in a white Bronco? Not with me.
Gun, blood. What the fuck? Yeah. Kill somebody. I don't know what you're talking about. I gotta go.
I'm gonna talk about a bloody knife. What the fuck?
But you know, they just basically are like, you're a fucking great kid. You know, you're always scheming, but at least right now you're doing pretty good. So they do what my parents did, which on Christmas Eve, which is, hey guys, it's 6:30, but you should go to bed because the earlier you go to sleep, the earlier Santa's gonna be here, and you can, you know, open these gifts. So everyone goes to bed, and Keenan did it, Steve. All that kindness, all that goodwill, Santa actually shows the fuck up. Maybe it's the guy that got knocked out in the mall, and he's just giving him his proper.
Yeah, man. And the good Lord saw that. And by the end of the episode, as the Rockmores and Kel, as they leave the living room, we see the real Santa, the old Saint Nick, man. And he gifts Keenan with that mountain bike because he deserves it.
Oh, these cookies suck.
Very wholesome episode of Keenan and Kel.
I love it, Steve. I love Christmas episodes in general. I'm a sappy person, and the Christmas sap gets me. done right. This is great. I would never have done this. A year's worth of savings spent on other people. That's tough.
You know, somebody who probably didn't watch this episode in 1996 is probably the 62nd Heisman Trophy Award winner, Danny Werfel, the quarterback of Florida.
That's crazy. He won the Heisman. What did
Yeah.
Danny Werfel ever do after winning the Heisman, Steve? Where did he get drafted?
Well, I will say this. He did, you know, like a lot of Heismans, he didn't last long. But the thing about the Heisman, if you play your cards right, you can get steady work throughout the rest of your life. As you're seeing now with these car commercials that are sponsoring NCAA games, like you'll see like different Heisman interacting with each other, like, oh, Bo Jackson and Eddie George and Charles Woodson, and like they're all paired together. And then I know for a fact Danny Werfel, he was getting steady work on television as like a local Florida sports host. He would cover like different like five-star recruiters and people like going to various colleges from the state of Florida, man. And he didn't fuck up. He didn't like rub anybody the wrong way. Was he the Peyton Manning of his time? No, but he was cordial with the right people, and he made some networking happen. And
He was in the Steve Spurrier era of the Gators, correct?
that is correct.
So yeah, there was a lot of guys, like especially quarterbacks that came out of that had huge numbers that it seemed like the system accommodated, like made that happen a little bit. Because when they I don't remember Danny Werfel in the pros, but like you said, the dude he won the Heisman. You got there, so like that's something that you're in the highest percentile anyway. So it is cool when you do see, and even like you said, you brought up Eddie George. That dude did do some shit in the NFL, but like even now, I was in the Columbus airport. He has his own goddamn restaurant and shit. It's
Exactly.
Like, hell yeah.
Like when you're solidified in a major school town, especially, man, like a Eddie George, like there are going to be people who want to fund your shit, but people of means who are probably alumnus of that school. And that's an example. And the same thing with Desmond Howard. Now, like he's getting steady work on ESPN with his traitor ass. But, I think because of him winning a Heisman, Lee Corso was a Heisman winner. And, he's built a career off of that. Couldn't tell you one thing about him in the NFL. But Danny Werfel, he was drafted by the Saints, lasted from 97 to 99. He went to the Rain Fire, where he won the world championship. He came back in 2000 with the Green Bay Packers. And then he was on the Bears in 2001 and practice squad for the Texans.
Well, like anybody that wins a Heisman, you did it. You got to the mountaintop. So, NFL, there's not a lot of people that can make it there anyway, especially quarterbacks. It's crazy doing so good at like how that changes too. You can be good in college and sometimes it just doesn't translate to going pro at all.
You might just be a system player.
Yeah.
But in 1998, Everybody Loves Raymond is airing season 3, The Toaster. When Ray gives his parents an engraved toaster for Christmas, they exchange it right away without even opening it.
Ma!
Classic Everybody Loves Raymond. So many questions just in general and just like the semantics of this. But we start the episode off and Ray is he's just worried about how this toaster gift is going to come off. Apparently he's given it to everyone in his life, but mostly he's worried about how his mom and dad are going to take this gift because he's put a lot of thought in it, Steve.
Those Barones, man, they're not easy to please. He got a toaster for the in-laws. He's concerned about that. He wants to make a good impression on his wife's parents. And he got one for Robert, his big little bro. It says Michael, Jeffrey, Allie, Deborah, and Ray.
Merry Christmas. But, and I question this. A toaster in general is kind of a bad gift. But an engraved toaster, Steve, an engraved toaster. That's wacky.
Doesn't even say Christmas. It says Xmas.
I X'd out the name of the birthday boy.
Yeah, and he's just like going off on himself. He does what I do, Steve. He just punishes, and he's like, I'm just a goofy doofus with a foofy toaster. I suck. Just second guessing everything. But, he's even his marriage. He's like, Deborah, you could have married better. I could have done better. I could have made better choices, especially about this toaster thing. And this is Christmas Eve, Steve. Like the shit, he's like hating his life, and this is the best time of the year, apparently. Like this is it, and he just can't enjoy it, just like Keenan.
But Ray's feeling that pressure, man, that he put on himself. And the next scene, we're at the in-laws' house, and his in-laws are played by Robert Culp and Katherine Hellman, both legends in their own right. Katherine Hellman from Who's the Boss and Soap from back in the day for you throwback TV watchers, and Robert Culp, I remember him from I Spy, where he co-starred with Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby became the first African American, I believe, to win Best Actor Emmy.
He has like a George Hamilton vibe, just like rich old Hollywood vibe. He's just a handsome old man. And Ray's like, your parents are the fancy, like cool ones. They're never gonna like this gift. And at first, the reaction isn't what he wants, but they're just like, this thing is awesome. When they see what it is, they're like, this is awesome. And he can't even accept that, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, the engraving, that's what got him. And like, because at first, like you said, hey, a toaster. Look, hun, a toaster.
Like, and then they see it, but they're like, ooh, this is retro chic. And they're like giving him these props. And he's like, you guys, maybe this was a pretty good idea. But then in comes Robert, big bro, little bro, who's big. And Robert's got a little snow bunny with him, Steve. Leanne.
Yeah. Leanne. And, to give a backstory on this, Robert, he moved into his own place this season, a couple episodes back. And this becomes a thing because when Ray finally visits him at his new place, he sees that the apartment complex is flooded with honeys. And in that episode, that like, I wish we cover that one because that was hilarious. Like he would find reasons to go and visit his brother, and then his wife finally comes in to like do laundry or whatever, and she sees him there with these two chicks. It's great, man. But like, yeah, it's
I do
a
like
pickup
when Ray sees Leanne though. He like takes Robert aside. He's like, "What is your life, dude?
Like, yeah, please.
What does it smell like?"
He's like living vicariously through Robert now. But Robert, as we find out, he got the toaster, and Robert loves it. He appreciates the toaster, and he gives him that awkward brother hug. I don't know.
He almost gets choked up. He's like, "No, seriously, dude. Like, touching. I loved it." But Ray, he's getting praise from everybody, but he's like, "Did mom and dad say anything to you about their toaster? Cause not a word. Haven't heard anything about it."
Why didn't they say anything about the toaster?
Robert. So cut to Christmas. Now it's Christmas Day. Ray's getting like messages, I feel like, from other people. He's given this toaster to many people, Steve. How many fucking engraved toasters did this guy buy?
They must have had them on wholesale or something, man, because they got plenty, as we'll discuss later. But, now we're back at Ray's house, and he's still concerned. He's like, why haven't I heard anything from them? I haven't seen them in the last couple of days. And his wife is like, you know what that is? A Merry Christmas.
But then Ray's mom shows up, and she's just like kind of this. She's like, hey. And he's like, so the present? And she's like, oh yeah, it's great. Your dad got half cocked on amaretto last night, so I need to get him some aspirin. Where's that at?
Yeah, he was dancing with the trash can. Shit was crazy. And he's just like, man, you know what? I'm not getting straight answers from you. I'm gonna talk to dad.
Yeah, and so he goes over to his parents' place, and his dad's just like at the table, just like hung over as fuck. And he's like, Dad, did you get the toaster? He's like, yeah, what? Yeah, sure. Of course. It was great. And he's like, well, did you even open the box? Where is it? Because I think you missed out on the engraving here. Let me show it to you. And the dad's like, oh,
I I don't have it on me right now.
Yeah, it's. I think we put it someplace else where you can't get it. And Ray's like, "Wait, what the fuck? Where's it? Where is it? Where's my gift?" And it turns out that the dad and mom actually returned this thing to a store that it wasn't from, and got a new coffee maker as a return gift for themselves, Steve. And the coffee, magnificent.
Apparently, they took it back to Bloomingdale's and got the coffee maker. And his mom comes back to the house and he confronts her now, and he's like, "Why would you do that? Like it had our names engraved on it. Like it said Michael, Jeffrey, Allie, Deborah, and Ray." And the dad's like, "It spoke? No, it was engraved." Engraved? Why would you do that?
He calls his parents psychopaths, but Ray's mom's like, "Ray," because he's like, "All the gifts I've given you are never good enough, Mom. That thing, the alligator skinned luggage." He names off some weird gifts, and his mom's like, "Ray, we're the ones that have to receive these awful gifts. So I mean, sorry."
You ever think about that, Ray?
And she's also like, "Here's the other thing. I know the toaster had 4 slots and engraving, but this coffee maker, you can schedule it so it's making coffee when you wake up." So,
man, and she caught me off guard because I thought this was going to be a genuine thing where she was about to say something serious, and it's like you just got like redirected. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, this coffee is ready in the morning when you wake up. Like, come on, Mom.
You seen those Folgers commercials? It's that in real. The moment I wake up.
So
that's great.
Ray's fuming.
Yeah, and he just storms out. He's like, "I can't deal with you people." So, but to be honest with you, his mom and dad, they're not really showing too much emotion at this point at all. They're just like, "This fucking Folgers can't make itself." Fuck toast.
Yeah, what's he tripping about? And he storms back to his house, and he's like, Robert's just kind of like, why do you need their approval? And Ray's like, "Well, how would you feel?" "Oh, how would I feel? Oh, let me think. Buy my book, Get Out of the Way by Robert Barone."
Yeah, and he's like, you're the favorite. I'm the one that should be trying to get their attention. It doesn't matter." And Deborah's there. She's like, "Yeah, dude, this is fucking weird. Like, you constantly need these people's, like, these people are garbage." So he's kind of getting it from that end. And then we cut to, I guess, Bloomingdale's.
Yeah. What the irony was that before we go to Bloomingdale's, Ray, he's talking to Robert. He was like, "Oh, I'm the beloved one? Really? Well, how come they don't care about my feelings? Why didn't they do anything about that?" And then, like, that's when they cut to Bloomingdale's and they show them, like, okay.
And they come with the coffee maker, and they return it, not mentioning anything about the toaster that they've returned with the engraving. They're like, "Here, it doesn't work. We just want to return this." And they're like, "Okay, well, is there something wrong with it?" "No, we never even used it." And the bitch is like, "There is a coffee filter in here used. So
yeah,
is there a reason? What have you come in here to lie about?" Like, she's kind of like puts it right on the parents, which I love.
And so they go on a mad dash and start opening all the toaster boxes. I like the part when, the mom is just like, I'm not just some trophy wife. And the long look that the dad has on her, he's just like, you're a trophy wife?
What contest in hell did I win for this? Oh, yeah. And they also, so they open like some boxes in the actual like store, get confronted by the manager, and they're like, "Well, we just want to make sure these are all good." And the manager was like, "Well," they're like, "Is this all of the toasters?" Because they don't find the engraved one. And the guy's like, "Well, maybe there's some in the back." So Maria's like, "Go in the back. I'm going to cause a diversion. Just go in the back and look in all the toasters." So Ray's dad goes in the back, and it's like the end of Indiana Jones, and the one with like the warehouse. It's just filled with
the warehouse. Yeah. it's nothing but toaster bro toasters. And we go back to the front of the store, and she's talking to the people. There's actually an old lady who's like who has a toaster with some writing on it, and the mom catches this, and she's trying to get it out of the lady's hands. And the lady's like, I wouldn't trade my son's toaster in. What kind of mother would I be?
She's like, oh, bitch. And then basically Ray's mom just like gets she shoulders the toaster out of this poor old lady's hands, fucking runs for it, leaves Ray's dad in the lurch in the back.
Well, he causes a diversion because he just like toppled a bunch of them. Apparently, like you can hear the loud noise from the back, and
That's
so like while that caught their attention, like Marie, she just boom gangs the fuck up out of there, man. And
my toaster. I mean, and also the old lady's like, can you just change the names on the engraving? Like, bitch, like this isn't an engraving store. Like, who did this?
That's old people for you, man. And in the next scene, and what's his wife's name? Deborah is, yeah, she gets off the phone and she tells Ray, I think you need to go to Bloomingdale's. Your parents are involved in a disturbance regarding destruction of property and the theft of a toaster. And Ray's just like,
oh, they do love me.
La la la. That's love in the Barone household, Steve.
Yeah.
This is another great Christmas episode, though. I love this. Very little Christmas in it, but what you get's fantastic.
In a Barone family way, you get the spirit at the end when Ray says that.
Oh, they do care.
And this is more realistic because I feel like a lot of holidays for a lot of families, it's a lot of like weird feelings. It's not the Keenan and Kel where like we're all generous and loving and here, let's enjoy each other. It's like, why don't they like my present? It's that vibe. You get that a lot more, you know?
Well, this actually did happen. That was like the basis of this episode. The creator of this show, he actually did that for his parents, and they turned it in literally for a toaster. And like he came back to work obviously and griped about it, and all the writers were like, dude, this would be great for an episode.
Yeah. The fact that actually happened, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna engrave a toaster and send it to you, Steve.
I'll keep it.
Thank you. I hope so. For fuck's sake, I got it engraved. For fuck's sake.
I'm not like the Barone parents, but somebody who probably didn't watch this episode of Everybody Loves Raymond in 1998. You want to know who, man? You want to know who? Probably the 64th Heisman Trophy Award winner, Ricky Williams, running back of Texas.
Smoke dog, baby.
Yeah.
I love Ricky Williams, Steve. He didn't go to a team that I ever rooted for. Who did he go to initially? The Saints?
He was a Saint, and then I believe he was a Dolphin. Or
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I think he was more notorious for the smoking, but he was a beast of a fucking running back in college and in the pros. Like the dude was a legit beast. So
he was, man, and because Texas, they weren't relevant again until Vince Young, and like in retrospect, dude, he could have kept his job because NFL, they lifted that ban. Like I feel like Ricky Williams was cheated.
I mean, it was just like wrong place, you know, at the time, but he definitely now would be fine. Maybe, but even so, I don't know that the NFL would allow people to just be publicly, because he was like out with it. Advocate, like once he got like busted into, like he was just sort of like an advocate more than just like a guy who got caught smoking. So I don't know if it would work like that, but he did get robbed. You know, weed's a weird thing, man. People had this weird thing about it, but the guy was such a legit beast, though, that even after the problems with it, he still continued to work and do well in the league. Like they couldn't kick him out because he was that good. People wanted to, you know, give him a job.
Now, you've heard the terms of Bobby Brown or Reggie Miller when it comes to weed. My cousin came up with one. Yeah, man, I got that Ricky Williams. That shit's so good, make you want to quit your job.
That's good. I love that.
But, you know, this is a guy, we talked about Heisman winners who play their cards right. I don't know, man. He's one of those who probably didn't. And it's unfortunate. Maybe he turned it into a cannabis business.
I'm sure he did. I think like also he had like this weird like I think he really did had like social anxiety in a real way where I think being in front of cameras and like being the center of attention uh in like interviews and stuff made him super uncomfortable. And then the weed thing on top of that, it just like I don't know. He was just like a weird personality in football. He seemed like a very peaceful. He's a pothead. He had like a pothead personality in this like gigantic tank of a body.
If he went to Bowling Green, we probably would have partied with him. But
Oh, yeah.
somebody who probably wasn't privy to any of this shit in 1998 is probably American actor and comedian Norman Fell. Yes, Mr. Roper.
Yes, that is the rope dog.
Yeah, man.
How old was he?
He was born in 1924 and born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia, Mr. Roper. Well, what show was Mr. Roper on? Three's Company?
He was Three's Company, man.
Yeah.
And then like his character was so popular, they had a spinoff. He lived to be 74. He died in Woodlands Hills. But he was also a comedian. He was in Ocean's 11, the Frank Sinatra, the Rat Pack Ocean's 11. He was in The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman and Bullet, which I believe was a Steve McQueen flick back in the day. Yeah, Steve McQueen, man. So he did some heavy hitting in the IMDb chart.
In them shorts?
In them charts, cool. So
Mr. Roper, dude, rest in peace.
yeah, man. But I was more of a Mr. Furley guy, and I know how you feel about Don Knotts.
Oh, three-way.
I think he's one of those. Ooh.
Yeah, I like Mr. Furley. Don Knotts. Sounds like he's busting constantly, but you just can't beat that.
Oh, no pun intended. But in 1999, Boy George is injured by a 62-pound disco ball that falls from a concert venue ceiling during a rehearsal, nearly killing him as it almost landed on his head.
I mean, I wonder what I would love to see what happened here because I've read a bunch of descriptions. I read the one that you just read. And it seems like this guy literally was almost crushed to death by a disco ball, which is crazy.
Yeah, because from what I read, man, it like cracked the side of his head, like his ear, and like if it would have been like a couple inches away, like right at the crown, oh man, you would have been done for.
Want to hurt me? Ah! Is that Boy George?
I don't know. I was just gonna ask you.
It was in The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler and the guy, I think it is, but I don't know. But Boy George, was this like a Final Destination thing where his death's just chasing him after this, Steve? I don't know. Is Boy George alive? He's alive.
Yeah, he's still with us. Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy though. 62-pound disco ball. I think Boy George, I don't think if you thought somebody was going to get killed by a disco ball, it was that dude. It's kind of ironic if you think about it.
Yeah, and it looked like he kept some of that disco ball to make that hat. Hey, man. Life gives you lemons. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways?
Just a shout out to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas classic Jingle All the Way. Happened to catch a little of that while I was on my business trip. And anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, you just gotta love it. Check it out. It's not the best, but it'll get you going. Turbo Man. I love it.
Arnold and Sinbad in the 90s, man. How could you go wrong?
And he punches a little person and makes him fly across the room comically, and it's fantastic. I almost spit my milk out of my nose.
And only thing I got, man, there's two things. 1991, SNL is airing episode with James Taylor as musical guest and Steve Martin. At this point, it was probably like his 6th or 10th time hosting. But there was this skit in that episode where Dana Carvey played, who's the old school guy? He was in the Dolly Parton movies. And he was like he was a child actor, Mickey Rooney. He plays
Oh,
Mickey Rooney, and that shit. He has these like little stubby legs. He's sitting in this chair, and he just kept saying, "I was the biggest star in the world, huge,
Mickey Rooney.
biggest star in the world." Like, you gotta see it, man. I'm gonna send you the link. It's like that shit is always gonna crack me up, man, because it's the stubby legs for me and just his intensity. I was the biggest star in the world. The world.
What was Mickey?
But
Mickey Rooney had something else, didn't he? Wasn't he on 60 Minutes all the time or some shit? Where he's like, you know what really gets me going?
that's Andy Rooney.
Andy Rooney, my bad.
Yeah. Who was actually parodied on In Living Color a lot. But yeah, in 1993, Saved by the Bell, college years. We got to catch one of those before it's too late. They're airing the episode Kelly and the Professor, and I shit you not, Matt. In this episode, the exact same thing with Kelly and Jeff happened with Kelly and Mr. Lasky. Zach, he's like Mr. fucking Lasky, the professor. And Zach is the same deal. Instead of asking for the dance, he asks if she wants to go steady. And Kelly's like, I don't know, Zach. Just, you know. And then eventually Zach catches them like kissing. Like, that would just make me pee my pants. If you saw somebody, that you liked in college, and you see him kissing your professor, oh, somebody got to die.
But in college, going, do you want to go steady? Come on, that's weird.
Yeah, grow up, Zach. But which further brings the point, Kapowski is trash.
I mean, how many times is Zach gonna have to just let it go? This woman is just tawdry. She's just breaking your heart through the generations. Junior high, high school, college. You want to get married to this chick and be an adult and have this shit happen to fucking, who knows, your landlord? I don't know. Some kind of real estate thing that's sexy? I don't know.
Well, clearly he did. Didn't they go out to Hawaii, or was it Vegas, and get married?
Well, if you watch the new show, apparently they're married and had a kid. So who knows what happened. But Kapowski is trash.
Man, a new spinoff, man. But maybe he made it work, man. But you cannot turn a hoe into a house, fine. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister, here comes sacking balls. Here comes sacking balls coming all over her face. Here comes sacking balls. Here comes sacking balls drumming all in her place. But check out Food Show Fanatics with my guy Matt G and Kendra, and Crushgasm as well with Kendra B. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s. Damn.
A Jose Canseco bat? Tell me, you didn't pay money for this.